I chose to call my creation project Suitcase Learning because it's based on an outside learning experience that my kids have each year called the Historical Residency Project at the Sloan Museum. I created the project with the educational director there a couple years ago, and each year I look to tweak the program not only for my kids but for the other kids in Genesee County that take advantage of this program. I also teach in a non-traditional school where I take over 30 field trips a year, um, and we call that expeditionary learning because truly it is learning outside of the classroom. Sometimes when we think of field trips, we don't really think about intense learning, but really I found that these experiences are more intense and more authentic and really enhance the curriculum in ways that you just can't do in the four walls of the school. What I just want to give an overview of some of the tools that I've used in my lessons. Um, I use two kind of innovative tools to me. The first being the interactive videos. I was just so frustrated that before I could even kind of get going in the museum, the kids would always need some background knowledge to kind of see the exhibits and kind of get what the exhibits were all about before using the resources. And it was always about 20 to 30 minutes of a lecture, and I found that I was managing kids, that they really weren't paying attention, they really weren't getting anything out of it, and I really wanted to make that experience more meaningful to them, and I did that through the use of these interactive videos. Um, After doing some searching, my favorite resource to make these interactive videos was edpuzzle.com. It took me just a couple minutes to not only crop the video that I wanted the kids to see, but to add audio notes, to add an audio track. I could also add quizzes, discussion questions throughout the video. So I found that it was a very fast and easy way to make these resources for the kids. I also used an augmented reality app called Aurasma. And this was really exciting to me because I have never really gotten into it. And I always thought it was kind of a cumbersome kind of app, and I didn't know that about the educational value in it. But I really like the way that augmented reality makes the exhibits come to life for the kids. And you can Google Aurasma to see how it works, but basically you have a trigger and an overlay. And when you hold your phone up after you've downloaded this app, you hold your phone up to the exhibit that you've loaded in, and another resource will pop up. So you have the ability to kind of hover your phone over an image and then maybe watch a video with more information. And so it just limits the amount of talking that you have to do to the kids to give them background information on the exhibits. They can see it for themselves, and it's an interactive feature. There was a little hiccup that I ran into with the Aurasma. If you do want to download a video, it has to be an MP4. So this keepvid.com was a really cool resource for that, where you could just take a YouTube video and download it onto your hard drive, just your desktop. And it was kind of a good thing to keep in mind too when the internet crashes and you wanted to use that really cool YouTube video. Probably not a bad thing to use all the time. And then there were just technologies that I had included in the lessons that I really didn't even think of because I use them so much anymore. I included Google Draw, Google Docs, Google Slideshow for collaboration purposes, video recording tools, and a class wiki. And these are just tools that I just use all the time, and I don't even really think of them anymore. But they're really great tools for collaborating and sharing and providing feedback for the kids. And I love that all the Google apps save without having to press save manually. It's a really good tool for my 3rd and 4th graders. So these were my 2 lessons that I designed for my historical residency program. I'm going to click on the Native American site here. So this is a slideshow that the kids would have access to as soon as they got into the museum. I always start out with learning targets so that they know what the goal is and what they're going to be learning. So their mission, the first thing they do is they watch one of those interactive videos. Now this was People of the Woodlands, and this was a video just that I found on YouTube, and I was able to add audio notes and questions. So if you kind of look down here, these yellow boxes are audio notes. So I specifically wanted to bring the kids back to the Three Fire Confederacy and specifically the tribes of Michigan. I didn't want them to, I wanted them to know that a lot of these things applied to the tribes of Michigan, but it wasn't just about the tribes of Michigan, it was about the entire Great Lakes area. So I was able to add notes just to kind of voice in and tell them some additional facts about Michigan tribes or clear up any misconceptions. And then the green boxes are boxes where I was able to put discussion questions or quiz questions that they were required to answer before they could move on. And I like the way that this has immediate feedback so the kids know if they answered a question correctly or not. Okay, once they've completed the video with a friend and did all the discussion questions, then they get to check out some of the exhibits. I did have them at the end of the movie just kind of write down the natural resources that the Native Americans had access to just for an activity later on. But they're going to be walking around the exhibit, checking out what's there using the Aurasma app. So one of the exhibits at the Sloan is this basket of corn. So all they'll have to do is hover their device over this basket of corn, and this will pop up. And just some additional information about the importance of corn to the Native Americans, and they'll be able to see this picture with this information over top of the exhibit at the museum. Now, I did notice that it was a little tricky sometimes when you take a picture of the exhibit, because the exhibit could be moved, it could be changed. So I would definitely make sure that I had the picture of the exhibit for them to use with the app in addition to the exhibit, just in case it didn't work correctly, because you never know when you're talking about museums and outside learning environments. You'll never know exactly what's been changed. So if you just use the picture of the exhibit and then make that picture available to the kids, I think that it would be a foolproof way of making sure that the app worked for them like it's supposed to. So when they put their app or their device over the wigwam in the Aurasma app, this little video about how to make a wigwam would pick up for them, and they could watch, how to make a wigwam. The arrowhead, all the different arrowheads that Native Americans use that have been found in our area, a spear throwing or an atlatl, and then a little atlatl demonstration that was right there that kids would be able to watch and see how these actually worked for Native Americans. Then this is their activity, and it was a STEM activity, really thinking about the resources and the problems that Native Americans had long ago or that we had today, and then developing an invention using the materials that they would have had, just kind of a STEM activity, because like I said, I really try hard to make sure that I cover all the different curriculum at the Sloan Museum when I'm there for a whole week. So this was just a science activity that kind of tied in to what we were learning about the Native Americans. And I love using the slideshow as kind of a basis for them to get all the information, just because you can add links, you can add videos, you can add all these things. So this was just the template for that with the rubric. Okay, going out back to the second activity, clicking on that, the fur trading activity. Again, I try to keep the same format for all my lessons so kids know what to expect. The learning targets, we start out with that to get them focused and know what they're knowing what they're supposed to be learning. Their mission, another interactive video right here. They watch. Once again, this video was made specifically by Michigan historians, so I really didn't have a lot of audio notes to add, but I did want to make sure that they were picking up on some really important information, so I placed more discussion questions and quiz questions throughout to make it more interactive for them to make sure that they were paying attention. Okay, so once they've completed that assignment, they're going to be browsing the French fur trading exhibit using the Erasmus app. Once again, this is an exhibit that was in the Sloan Museum. So when they hover over this, they'll find out what the Native Americans did with these beautiful beads, these trading beads. Here's another exhibit, the furs. When they click on the furs, this picture pops up of all the different hats that the French made the beaver pelts into. The axe heads that were a popular trading item, and when they hover over those, they'll get some extra information on axe heads and what the Native Americans would use for that. So then the assignment, Thinking Like a Fur Trader, kind of follows along with the open-ended assignment of the Native American activity. I wanted the kids to pretend that they were working for a French fur trading company and they were looking for voyagers to come to the New World to deliver trade goods to Native Americans. They are instructed to make a video that will encourage Frenchmen to become fur traders. So having to do that, they have to explain the job of a voyager, explain what a voyager must be able to do, and they have to be able to convince people to become voyagers. So that's the learning assignment for this activity. Then at the very end, they get to create their own Erasmus trigger using a photo of an artifact in the fur trading exhibit, and then posting their video as the overlay. So after they've used the app a few times, being able to create their own aura is a pretty big step and something that would be pretty exciting. This would also be a cool way to show parents, because we always have kind of a reception at the end of the week to share what we've learned, and this Erasmus app would be a great way to share with parents some of the things that we've done throughout the week. And then the bottom is just an interactive slideshow that I do a lot for kids to collaborate. It's a really easy way to have everything in one place and for them to be able to see each other's work without having to go to different wikis or websites. I just have kids add a slide to the collaborative slideshow, and that's kind of a cool way for us to share things quickly in the classroom. So that's it. I had a great time doing this project and trying to think creatively. I always love to get out of the classroom and think about how I can extend learning opportunities for my kids. And I feel like with the inclusion of these innovative technologies that I'll really be able to create a hands-on interactive environment that kids will really be able to learn in this year. So anyway, thank you so much for listening.